Dad's head dropped into his hands. It wasn't supposed to be permanent, he said, his voice cracking. She was so sick. They promised to help. We thought we'd get her back when she was better. But then they changed everything. You ever walk into a house that used to feel like home and realize it doesn't anymore? That's what it felt like when I pulled into my dad's driveway that Sunday night. The same cracked pavement, the same porch light that flickered when you walked past it, the same wind chimes Mom hung years ago still clinking outside the kitchen window. But everything felt wrong. Colder. Like the house itself was holding its breath. Dad hadn't hosted a dinner since Mom died last year. So when he called, no text, no warning, just said, Sunday. 6 o'clock. Don't be late. I knew something was off. This wasn't a family dinner. This was a setup. When I walked in, Chloe was already there. Perfect as ever, glass of wine in one hand, phone in the other. She was my older sister, successful, controlled, and emotionally bulletproof. She didn't hug me. She just gave me that fake little smile that said, let's get this over with. Then there was Mark. The youngest. He showed up late, half drunk, smelling like whiskey and smoke, laughing too loudly like he was auditioning for a part he didn't believe in. And at the head of the table, Dad. Staring into his glass like he could drown in it. He looked smaller somehow. Not weak, but like someone who'd already made peace with the fallout. Dinner started with the usual performance, fake laughter, polite questions, careful distance. No one mentioned Mom. No one mentioned how it was the first time we'd all been in the same room since her funeral. Halfway through the meal, Dad cleared his throat. The sound cut through the silence like a warning. I appreciate you all coming, he said. There's something I need to tell you. Chloe set her glass down slowly. Mark stopped mid-bite. Even I froze. Dad slid 3 envelopes across the table. One for each of us. Your mother wanted you to have these, he said. His voice was calm. Too calm. Like he was bracing for impact. We opened them. Chloe's had a deed to Mom's art studio by the lake. Mark's had cash. Stacks of it. And mine? Just a single sheet of paper. A letter. It read. To my son. I'm sorry for the burden of truth I've left you with. But when the time comes, you'll know why it had to be you. Mom. That was it. No money. No keepsake. Just those words. Mark laughed. Guess Mom had favorites, huh? Chloe rolled her eyes but said nothing. Dad didn't move. Didn't speak. Just stared at me, like he was waiting for something. I folded the letter back into the envelope, pretending it didn't shake in my hands. But inside, my stomach dropped. There was something about that line. You'll know why it had to be you. It wasn't guilt. It was instruction. After dinner, the tension cracked wide open. Mark started arguing with Chloe about the money, accusing her of manipulating Mom before she died. She accused him of being selfish, as always. I stayed quiet. Until I saw something strange. On the kitchen counter, behind the fruit bowl, was a small metal box. Old, rusted, with a note taped to the top in Mom's handwriting. For Michael. When the truth is ready. That was my name. My heart started racing. I picked it up. Dad? I said, holding the box. What is this? He looked at it, then at me. And his face broke. That's why we're here, he said quietly. Inside the box was a small stack of documents tied with a red ribbon. The first one on top was a birth certificate. Not mine. Not Chloe's. Not Mark's. It said, Evelyn Grace Monroe, born 1987. Parents, Thomas and Margaret Monroe. My parents' names. But I'd never heard that name in my life. Who the hell is Evelyn? Mark asked. Dad didn't answer right away. He just rubbed his face, his shoulders trembling. Finally, he said it. Your sister. The room froze. Chloe's mouth fell open. Mark laughed like it was a bad joke. But Dad didn't flinch. She was taken from us before you were born. The chaos hit like thunder. Mark started yelling. Chloe demanded proof. I sat there, staring at the document in my hands. I didn't even know how to process it. Mom and Dad had another child? And never told us? Why? Underneath the birth certificate was a letter, Mom's handwriting again. Evelyn was sick. We couldn't save her. The Kensingtons offered away. I never forgave myself, but I couldn't forgive your father either. If you're reading this, the time for silence is over. The Kensingtons. That name rang a faint bell, Dad's old business partners. Wealthy, powerful, untouchable. There was one last document in the box. A legal form, yellowed with age. Custody transfer agreement, Evelyn Grace Monroe, the Kensington Family Trust. Date, 1987. And under it, in black ink. In exchange for full inheritance rights to Thomas and Margaret Monroe's estate. It took me a second to understand. Then Chloe whispered, trembling. Oh my God, they sold her. Dad's head dropped into his hands. It wasn't supposed to be permanent, he said, his voice cracking. She was so sick. They promised to help. We thought we'd get her back when she was better. But then they changed everything. He looked up at us with hollow eyes. They threatened to destroy me if I ever came forward. Silence. All I could hear was the sound of my own heartbeat. Chloe stood up, tears streaking her mascara. You let Mom die with that secret? Dad didn't answer. Mark slammed his fist on the table. You let us grow up thinking we were all she had. Still, Dad said nothing. So I opened the last item in the box. A faded photograph. A little girl with Mom's smile, standing between two strangers, the Kensingtons. And taped to the back was a note. In Mom's handwriting. Find her before they do. That's when everything clicked. This wasn't just about the past. It was about now. Dad, I said quietly. Why would she write before they do? Who's they? He didn't answer. He just looked at me with a kind of fear I'd never seen before. Then there was a knock at the door. 3 slow, heavy knocks. Chloe jumped. Mark went still. Dad froze. I looked out the window. And there, under the porch light, stood a woman. Maybe late 30s. Dark coat. Hair pulled back. And when she looked up, my chest went cold. She looked exactly like Mom. Dad whispered, barely audible. She found us. Then the doorbell rang again. And that's when it hit me. Evelyn wasn't a secret. She wasn't gone. She was alive. And she'd just come home.